Hey guys, it's been a little while. Had to move house and do a few other things this summer that really took up a lot of my time, and I didn't have the time or the area to do any recording. So I'm back, and as you can see, I gotta have more light. Look at this. Ooh, natural light. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I'm not in a basement anymore. It's everything good about life is being back in our house, which is great. As promised, I do have the limited edition sketchbook collection with the tiny sketchbooks. I actually ordered this before I did the mystery pack, but this took a lot longer to get here, and I've had it for a couple of months now because it came right in the beginnings of having to deal with a house, and I just did not have time. So it got shoved on a shelf and waited until I was mostly unpacked in the house. Are you ever done unpacking in a house? It's a good question because there are still many, 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 many boxes downstairs that have yet to be unpacked. But I've got my art area set back up. I've got my recording area set back up. Even if my computer is not currently running, I can at least do it on my iPad still. So we're here with the laminated collection sketchbooks. I honestly don't even remember what colors these are in anymore. That's how long it's been. Oh, why do they make these so tight? So we're going to unbox these and see if they're everything that I'm hoped for. I love tiny sketchbooks. I actually picked up this tiny one from, what is it, Go Draw? I also have their palette. So I'll do a review at some point about my travel palettes because I have entirely too many. Way too many. In fact, I was this close to buying the chromatic set that Etchr was offering. I was so close. I had that tab open the entire time that campaign was running, and I managed to not buy it because I honestly have enough tiny sketchbooks now, and when I was unpacking, I'm kind of horrified by how many empty sketchbooks I currently have. So I am not allowed to buy any more until I have used most of them, so it'll be a couple of years. So I have this tiny one, which I got with the Go Draw back in, I think, early 2024. We had this when we were still in the bus, and I had never done anything quite this tiny. I can open a little bit. So that was Boundary Cone near Fort Mojave, Arizona, that I did. So I just have this tiny little sketchbook, and I took it all over the country. I'll do an actual tour of it some time, and did tiny little sketches. And I love having something this small. I bought this on Etsy. Whoops, this way. As you can see, I'm a Evangelion fan. It is a little bit bigger. I actually really like this size. It gives me just a little bit more space, and I like the fact that it's landscape, which is kind of nice. I have a couple little things in here. Not much is done with this one yet. The only thing I don't like about it, the paper is amazing. I love the color. This is something somebody actually handmade. I don't love this binding. And the reason is because it can do this, which I don't love. It's a little harder to make it stable, but I do like the paper in this a lot. It's really, really good paper. Other than that, I love it. I just wish it had a solid binding, but then it wouldn't have been as reasonably priced as it was. And I don't remember where I picked this up exactly, but this one's a little bit bigger. And I have like one thing from a museum that I have put in it so far. So, yeah, but it's also a pretty good size. A little bigger than I'd prefer. This one's a little harder to carry. This is better for a larger bag. Whereas this is ideal for a very, very small bag, like to put in your purse or something, so that if you're waiting at a restaurant for something, or waiting at a doctor's appointment or dentist or something, you've got like 5 to 10 minutes, you can do a painting in this. This one takes a little more time too. Again, I like that size. So having filled this, I really needed another one. So I was really excited when they came out with this set because I like their paper. And even buying these by themselves, I can't find any that are actually just Inkberry. And buying them by themselves can be tricky. You'll have a lot of times where it's not cotton. You'll have fewer pages. This actually has a really generous number of pages. I love the size. And these run for at least $20 a piece. Sometimes $30 because they're popular and they're probably really annoying to make because they're so small. So this was a pretty good deal. I cannot off of the bat remember how much I paid for this. I'm sure I'll put a note in the video when I edit it. So let's see what we've got. Oh, that's right. There was the earth tones. Oh, I remember. And then they did the blue for the hot press. So this is the first set they did. This is the cold press set. Oh, little thingies. This is the cold press set. Of course, I love cold press. And they have, of course, two of these tiny ones, which is what really sold me on it. pretty much the same amount of paper, which I also love. I kind of hate sketchbooks that you pay like $20 or $30 for, and they've got 10 pages. I'm looking at you, Arches. So these are really cute. Oh, I like the little llama too. That's really cute. I like the cloth on this binding, but I don't hate this. This is faux leather. Pleather. It's called pleather. It's not vegan leather. It's pleather. That means plastic. But, you know, I'm just going to rip this little bugger. I'm not going to complain. Oh, it's so soft, though. Its softness is nice. Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay. Not loving this aspect. Okay. Well, I hadn't thought of that as being a possible problem. Will it lay flat? Okay. It will, with a little effort. It's flattish. Okay. It's bending a bit. All right. Crisis averted. I have a real hatred for sketchbooks that don't lay flat. I can't stand them, either in notebook format or in sketchbook format. I abhor them with an absolute wild passion. This isn't too bad. This is doable. Okay. They have been sitting here for a couple months. They're a little stiff. I can really tell why this is here. I'm not loving this on these tiny ones because they're so small. But I do, that's so cute. Because this one, even when I first got it, you can see how the binding is a little bit farther from the side of the book. This one seems to be a little bit closer and it's glued more. Okay, so that's a glued binding. I believe this is a stitched, well, it is also stitched. Hold, please. Yeah, there is some stitching. I can see the stitching right there, but then they do this heavy gluing, which I understand why, but I think that's part of what makes it a little harder for the binding itself to bend as needed. Whereas I don't think, this doesn't have any real glue to speak of, just a little bit, but you can see how wide open, I'm showing everything, how easy it is to open this, and it just opens really nicely and very easily, and everything's very flat, and I kind of love that about this. So it was hard to find something to replace that. I mean, this one's the same way. Oops, oh, I threw that on the floor. Okay. See how this is something I love about this style sketchbook. As much as I don't like the wiggliness, because even when it's down like this, the paper has a tendency to move. But look at that nice flat surface I have to work with. I love that about that. That is so nice. So these, I guess, will open. It's just going to, oh goodness, take a little effort to get these little puppers open. Let's see about the bigger one. This is also a really nice size. I'm liking that this is the largest one. Clearly you have eyeballs. You can see, you're watching a video. Oh, even it's really stiff. Oof. But it will open. So not horrible. And I have clips that I keep in my travel kits anyway. Oh, I like that. That's a nice size as well. That gives you a little more room to work with. That's a really good size. This is near ideal size, actually, for a carry. Oh, see, and one green. They could have done more green colors. This is a lot of brown, green. I guess you could be generous and call that cream, but I'm going to say brown. It's brown. Let's be honest. It's brown. Oh my God, come on. You have to come off. Come off! Just going to rip them. They do not open easily. So this is a size I have not used. As you can see, this one over here is quite a bit bigger. I have a sketchbook that is of a similar size. I think this one is a 5-inch. No, I think this is 2. This is 3, and this is a 4. So I think this one's a 5. So this is a 5x5, which is a good size. A good size if you've got about a half hour to work on a piece. This is a good size for that. This one also, depending on how detailed you're getting with whatever it is that you're doing, this is probably a 20 minute to a half hour sketch. This is a good 30 minutes. And you want to do this where it's not windy? Oh boy. That's one of the beauties of having something this size, is it almost doesn't matter. Oh, this is a tiny bit smaller, isn't it? It is. Just a scotch. I'm not wild about the rounded pages either. That's a little annoying. I like the size, but the roundedness is slightly annoying. Oh, I love that this just opens like this. I like the squared off edges. That makes it a little easier to know exactly where you're going. But I'm not going to complain. I have tons of tiny sketchbooks now, and that makes me happy. But it doesn't matter really what your weather conditions are. This is so small that you can keep it an area wet very easily on this. Like, you can keep this whole sky wet for like a moment or, you know, like a minute or two while you're working on it. Whereas something this size, or heaven forbid this size, is just really difficult when it's raining. It'd be perfect when it's raining, when it's windy. And as you can see, most of this one was actually done in the desert. I was in the desert most of the time, and I can tell you the humidity topped out at like 30% in the desert if it wasn't actively raining, and would get so low that the thermometer, it couldn't even read the humidity. It would just be like, too low, and that would be below like 7%, I think is the lowest I've ever seen it read, and then it's just like, too low, we can't detect it. And I could still use this just fine. You could still keep an area of this wet to add color to it pretty well. This would be probably as big as you'd want to get in those scenarios. And this would be a little tricky. You would not want to deal with this on a windy day. You'd start at the top of your sky and it would be dry by the time you got to the bottom. You would not be able to add anything in that instance. But this size you might be able to get away with. So really, these are great for the size that I work with. So here is my current carry kit. This is the one that I take most often. This is my go-to. This has all of my favorite things to travel with, and it's great for a larger purse or one of my crossbodies. This is a fairly good size, but I also have to add in my sketchbook. So before, I was putting my sketchbook here. See, with this size, you could easily put this one or even this one in here. And then boom, you're good to go. You've got everything you need. Currently, because I don't have anything this small, and I've been using this one primarily, it doesn't quite fit. It's a little too thick and a little too big to fit in here. See, this is why I have a hairband around this, because it just does this all the time. I should probably actually make a permanent elastic on it. That wouldn't be that hard. I have some somewhere. So this is a great size. Now I'm losing things. This is a great size. These are perfect size for carries. Even this one, I could probably, if I used a different palette, I could probably get this. Oh no, that one's a little tight. So really, and see here are the clips I'm talking about, where I used to have the clips. And I also, where did I put it? Ah, here it is, right next to me. Good, good. I made this tiny little guy specifically so that I could put something here and then put my tiny one here so you can open it up. Oh goodness, if I can get my fingers on it. Oh, see, this just doesn't open as well. Oh, that's fat. But technically you're supposed to... I'm on video, making great pod here. Oh man, this thing is so fat. This thing really just doesn't compress well. But it would fit mostly if I really worked at it. These might not be big enough clips. Oh my heavens. All right, I might have to look at bigger clips. So that's normally what I would do. And that way it keeps it open for me while I'm working, even when it's windy or whatever, so that I can do tiny things on my lap. You can, with the very, very small one I have, the really tiny ones, this just doesn't open as well as I would like. Well, I'm glad I didn't buy the chromatic one. See, this one opens a little bit better, and then you could just set it here. And with this, really, you only need to clip one side, whatever side you're working on. But that clips much easier. Boom. I don't get it. It's just, that thing is so tight. I'm sure it'll loosen up with time. God, I wish I could buy these. For like the 4th time in my life. I really wish I could buy these by themselves. This would really make my life so much easier. Okay, editing me back. Let's go over prices for everything here. So we've got our tiny little cute Etchr sketchbooks. I broke those down. I paid $109 for the set of 5. So that breaks down to, let me find it on the thing, about $21.80 per sketchbook, regardless of size. So that goes from the larger one to the teensy weensy ones. And these have about 26-ish pages roughly. Let me show you. You've got this, which you can go ahead and paint on, but then you've got these two, which I guess you would consider two separate pages, except that they don't really separate. You see, they kind of stick together right here. So I don't know if, I guess you could kind of do that, I guess. So you can count them or not. I said 26-ish because I'm not counting these as two separate pages. I'm counting this as a single one and the one over here as well because of how they bound those. It makes it a little difficult to use. And all of the sketchbooks are bound exactly the same way. They have exactly the same number of pages, and they all have this thing here. So you can either use it as 1, 2, or you could open that up and use it as another one, which would give you 28 pages total for the entire book. So not terrible. Again, Etchr watercolor paper is pretty good. I really like it. I've enjoyed my time using what I have used of it. So pretty good quality. So that's about what you're paying for those. So GoDraw started out, I believe they are Russian, and Inkberry, I believe, is a separate Russian entity from GoDraw because GoDraw no longer uses Inkberry sketchbooks that I can tell. I did find GoDraw's shop, which has moved again on the interwebs, and you can buy the sketchbooks separately. You can buy a packet of 2. I think they say they have 30 pages currently, but they're not Inkberry anymore, so I can't vouch for what they are. They look very similar, but they're not exactly the same. Like the grommets that you see here don't exist on the current ones, and I cannot find Inkberry anywhere on the internet in English at all. A lot of people search for it on Etsy, I can tell you that, but nobody finds it. Which is a shame because this is a really, really great sketchbook and I really like it. And you'll notice they do something different with how they work their pages. So this is the opening thing. No, you can't paint on this. It's a different color. And that is strapped to the back of the first watercolor page. So you get, in this particular thing, about 30 pages, depending on if you count this or not. And I do because I paint on these. So it's, I believe, 28, 29, 30. So a good number of pages. And also the new one, I don't know what this is. I believe this was 100% watercolor back when I bought it. Now it's 50% watercolor, 50%, sorry, it's 100% watercolor, 50% cotton, 50% cellulose paper, which at this size should be totally fine. I have nothing against that at this size. At this size, you could basically use cellulose and it probably wouldn't be that big a deal because there's not enough space for it to really ripple. But this has been really good, and I really wish I could buy more of these, but I can't, so it's sad. So if you want to buy GoDraw's current version of this, they have a 2-pack for $44. So it's about 22, did I not write it down? No, I didn't write it down. That would make sense. So it's about $22.50 per sketchbook now, if you want to buy theirs. There's this, which I also purchased on Etsy. Now this is Arches paper, which is probably why the paper on this is so incredibly wonderful to work with. And also with this one, this is also Arches paper, so you can paint on this. And there's nothing connecting these two, so they're totally separate pages. So with this one, it's 32 sheets. I'm not counting one side and the other, I'm counting this entire sheet, so depending on how you want to divide it up. 32 sheets, and then 33 and 34. So you've 32 in the middle, and then these two on the outsides that also can be used. So you can get up to 68, well, 64, 66. You can do a total of 66 paintings if you use each page individually, or less than that if you do a full spread. So minimum 34 little paintings, bare minimum, if you use every single two-way sheet. So that gives you a lot. I paid $31.70 for this when I bought it. It is now $40 for one of these. but you can't beat this paper because it's Arches. It does have its other drawbacks, but it's Arches. Last but not least, I picked this up in Seattle. Not Seattle. No, Spokane, sorry. In Spokane, Washington, when we went through there. That would have been end of summer 2024. So, gosh, a year ago now. Way time flies. I picked it up there. This is a Chinese company called Potentate. I did find a place online. This says it's 100% watercolor paper. I would compare it favorably to the Baohong, which is my go-to watercolor block paper. I really love Baohong. So it works really well. I have no complaints with the watercolor paper whatsoever. It is Chinese, so you can decide how faithful they are to saying it's cotton. I don't know. It feels like cotton. When I'm using it, I don't feel cellulose from it at all. I feel cotton. Like this is the one I've done on it, and it looks like cotton. It dried like cotton. There's no rippling or anything to that. It's a nice, almost completely flat sheet of paper. So I would say cotton is probably accurate with the Potentate. This is the cheapest. It is 24 pages. Again, this is not watercolor, cotton watercolor paper. It's got that little thing where it's attached. You could technically use this side. I don't really count it though. You get 24 sheets of paper with this one, and you can find this online for $13. But this is the smallest size I could find. This was it. So for tiny things, things vary. You can go on Etsy and look for things like this, and you will find things that are similar to this. And did my camera just move? Did I move my camera, or am I shoving these around? Oh, the questions I ask myself. That's what happens when I look down and not up at the camera, so I have no idea what's going on. You can find sketchbooks similar to this on Etsy, and depending, you can pick them up on sales for about $15. But regular price, they're somewhere around $25 to $30 a piece, depending on who you go to and how many sheets you're going to get. Most of them don't have this many sheets. I'll be honest. Most of them are in the 20 to 24 sheet range, so somewhere along these lines. Ones that have this many, this is the only one I know of that has 30-something pages in it, or 30-something sheets in it. So, yeah, you know, things vary. If you can find it on sale, $15 for one isn't bad. I might actually pick up one or two at those prices. I know I shouldn't. I'm such a bad kitty. I do not need more sketchbooks, but I'm going to end up with more sketchbooks. I'm really tempted to also buy a pair of the Go Draw sketchbooks just to see how they stack up to this one. So I don't know. I might do something like that and review it another time. But right now I'm trying not to spend money I don't need to. So all in all, I would say this has been a pretty decent deal. I don't have any complaints with it outside of the ones that I put in, which again, those are kind of minor complaints. Now that I've opened them up a bit, they're a little bit easier to move around. I don't think they're going to be a problem. The fatness of them is a slight problem. I would like to point out that overall, it seems a bit fatter than the original. You can see when you put them space that there's a bit of a difference on the size, which is probably why this one's so much harder to clip to things, because it's just a wee bit on a chunky side. But overall, I'm not going to complain. I think $20 or $21.80. I think that's a perfectly reasonable price for Etchr sketchbooks, frankly. I don't know when they'll bring these back to sale. I would assume they would, because I believe they sold very, very well. And I've noticed that they've been bundling the small ones with other things lately, which I understand. They don't want to just sell these, but I think, honestly, I think these kind of sketchbooks are great. I think they're very, very useful. I think they're also extremely good for helping you learn to simplify what you're looking at. I have a real tendency, along with a lot of other artists out there, to try to put every single detail I see down on my screen. And you cannot with these. You cannot. It is not possible. It absolutely forces you to condense down and simplify what you're seeing into something you can put on something this small. So I find these very useful. I'm used to working in small sizes anyway, though, because of how I started for painting was on little 4x6 and 5x7s anyway. So small doesn't bother me that much. If anything, it's hard to go big. So do without what you will. I think it was a good price. I'm very happy with having a bunch of small sketchbooks. Again, I really love these little things. I think they're very, very useful. And I just think they're adorable too. Like, look at it. It's so cute. It's so cute. And they come in a lot of different colors and finishes and patterns and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I think that's it for this video, and I hope to see you again next time. I should be coming out with something soon about Inktober, because it is September and Inktober is what I am focused on right now. So I will see you guys later.